This is the video review of the Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue Super Train Megazord. And as you can see, the actual rail rescues here are absolutely massive compared to the smaller Zords of the normal Lightspeed Rescue Megazord. The Super Train Megazord gets really, really big. I'm going to take these guys off camera for a while. They do something with the trains, but we'll get to that. Take them off to the side. And the first train I want to look at is Rail Rescue number 1. This one is my favorite because it looks like a really, really cool steam locomotive. And this one, I can easily tell what it is. It's a very neat looking train. I like it partially because steam locomotives are the most distinctive and interesting looking trains. The other trains, I'm not entirely sure what all of them are. I think that one's a subway car, and that's like a box car that a freight train would carry. But I don't know anything about these two. I mean, this one looks like it's a one giant cow pusher or minesweeper, whatever it is on the front of some trains. I'm not sure what all of these are, but this one definitely is a steam locomotive. And I love the chrome on the front. It's just a really, really nice looking train. Now, the basic gimmick that these trains have together is they have these little posts that come out of the back and these clips that come out of the front. And what that means is they can hook together. Now, I'm not going to show the entire thing together because it's not super impressive. It's just this with 3 more on it. But it does work pretty well. It's an interesting gimmick. And they even put a little bit of detail into the gimmick because if you look here, if you pull these out, these little rubber bits, these are what would be the bumpers that would make it so that as the train's moving along, they don't just slam into each other. They can control how they're connected a little bit. So that's a neat gimmick. I like how this looks, but unfortunately by itself, it doesn't do much on its own in train mode. And it actually also feels kind of hollow. Now there's a reason for this. That's because this overall set interacts with the 2 other smaller Megazords, the Omega Megazord and then the normal Lightspeed Rescue Megazord. And what happens is, if you push your camera down so you can look at this, if you open this up, you can see a little compartment, and it is very hollow in here. And then if you pull the ramp down, then what you end up getting is a place where you can store Megazords. Because in the show, these things would move around and deploy these smaller Megazords. Push this in, push this in, and this does give the Rail Rescue number 1 a bit more mass, so it feels better when there is something inside of it, although if you hear that, it does rattle around a little bit. I'm not too big a fan of that, but it's not a big deal. Now, to transform this thing is actually pretty cool. Now, unfortunately, it has a little bit of parts forming, but considering how impressive the overall Megazord is and how clever some of the smaller bits are, I'm willing to forgive it. Now, to transform this, you'll want to pop this out and down, and there's a little clip right here and a little tab right here. Now, you can just tab it in like that, but just to make sure that the tabs last as long as possible, what I like to do is I fold this down and I slide it in. That way there's almost never any tension on the little clip there. It just slides in. I'm not too worried about it breaking, but there are a couple of broken clips on this set, so it is a possibility. That's why I'm recommending to transform it that way. Then you will take the front of it, pop it off, and here you'll see a giant articulated fist. And then there are not clips, but the things that the clips go around here, and then clips here and here. So you'll pop those on to here like this. And here is the Rail Rescue number 1 with a Lightspeed Megazord inside of it, turned into an arm. I'll put this off to the side for now, and we'll look at Rail Rescue number 2. Rail Rescue number 2 is well, I think it's like a box cart that a freight train would carry. It's not the most impressive because it is just a big box. It does have the basic gimmick of all of these guys, where there's a little thing that comes out the back, a clip that comes out the front, has the bumpers, and that's about it for this mode by itself. Again, you have the gimmick where you pop this out, pull out the ramp, and if you're trying to buy this on eBay, try to make sure you have one with all the ramps, because the ramps come out pretty easily, and it can be kind of hard to tell if a listing includes all of the ramps. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. These doors can pop off. Sometimes it's a pain to get them back in, but they do pop back in. As you can see, there is a little spring loaded bit there. So let me get this back in. Let me put this back in. Sometimes it can be difficult to get all of these back in, but this is something that can happen on the toy sometimes, especially if you're trying to show it off on camera. So let's see. The easiest thing I found to do is just try and align the clip there with the tab there. And if you can get that aligned and put into place, that will tend to make sure that the stuff down here, like you saw how that white bit popped into place there. If you can line that tab up there, that'll tend to line everything up in the back. So open this again, pull out to the ramp, and then put this guy in, close it up, and then here you have him with a Megazord inside of it, or not Megazord, a Zord inside of it, and there you go. Now to transform this is exactly the same as Rail Rescue 1. Fold this around, pop this down, slide it into the clip, pop this off, and then same thing, tab here, and clips on the inside here. And there you have Rail Rescue 2 turned into a fist, and an arm, and a connection port. I'll put this off to the side, and we can look at Rail Rescue number 3. Now, Rail Rescue number 3 is kind of the odd one of the bunch because it forms a torso. It has a front end on both ends. It actually has bumpers on both ends too, whereas most of them only have the bumpers on the front. It has these things on the side here, so it's not just the straight on the sides, and it's not bad. I like this one second, I believe, because it looks the most like something that would actually exist. I'm not saying that the others don't exist, I'm just not familiar with them. This one looks like a subway train. And the front actually kind of reminds me of the frogs from Keroro Gunso. And it rolls, has the bumpers, has these things. And this one is actually a little bit weird because, unlike the others, which you fold out, you pull this tab out. And this one actually has one other difference, where instead of having a ramp for the compartment, you pop this out, and then the little VTOL Zord pops in, like this. Pop it down, and there we go. Now to transform this thing is actually pretty cool. What you do is you take these wheels, pop them around, and then you will take these parts here, split them apart, then you'll detab the front, and I like how this happens because this comes up to keep these separated apart. And then what happens is this will clip onto the chest. There's a clip here, and as you can see, this clip right here on mine is broken. It still holds together just fine, it just flops. It's a little bit floppy, you'll see. And it clips onto the tabs here and here. And by floppy, I mean it moves like this. It still stays just fine, but if you are buying this on eBay, I would recommend asking if this clip is in good condition. And then you'll pull this back, clip it down, and then raise the thing on the head up. Or if you want to be dramatic, we can save that for the combination. So I'll put this off to the side, and we can look at Rail Rescue number 4 next. Rail Rescue number 4 is a, well, it's a train like all the others. On mine, the clip in here is broken, but that's not a big deal. All it means is that this moves up a little bit. It's not a big deal because I'm not playing with it like this most of the time. And it's in foot mode because as the clip's here to keep it out, it stays out just fine. So, again, you might ask about the clips when you're buying this on eBay, but it's not too big of a deal except on the chest and on the things that stick onto the shoulders. Anyway, it's a train. It has these little rubber bumpers up here. Has this in here, and I mean, a lot of these are really just kind of the same concept over and over again. And again, you have the thing in here. Pull out the ramp. Yeah, see, these ones pop out really easy. And if one of these pops out on the legs, I'm going to have to start over because it's really hard to get the leg ones back in. So take the yellow rescue Zord, close it in, and there we go. To transform this is pretty cool. You fold this up to form a foot, and then what happens is you see this circular bit here. That's the port. You push down on this, and then it exposes the port. And here you have a leg. And I'll put this off to the side, and we will look at the final Zord of this set, the Rail Rescue number 5. Now this one, the clip here is not broken, so it stays together just fine. And it's basically a repeat of a Rail Racer Rescue Rail Rescue number 4, except the bumpers here are on the sides here like this rather than being something you pull out. And they also look a bit more like guns on the others. That's about the only difference. Then you pull this out, open this up, and then take this, pop it in, there you go. And this one actually wobbles a bit more than the others. Transforming is just the same as a Rail Rescue number 4. Pop this up, pop this down, and there we go. Now we can start putting this together. So I'll bring in the legs. As you can see, this is already getting big, and we haven't even put anything together yet. And then if you look at the bottom of Rail Rescue number 3, there are these holes. These will plug in like this. And it's a very, very secure connection too. Then you'll take Rail Rescue number 1, plug him onto the side here, like this. And do the same with Rail Rescue number 4, but on the other side. And then now we can do the epic head reveal. Bring this back, and pop these up. And this thing is absolutely massive. I think it looks great, especially with all the stickers on it. I think it looks very impressive. I do wish it didn't have the parts forming on the 2 shoulders, and I do wish the arms and legs weren't repeats. I wish Rail Racer number 2 were a little bit different than a Rail Rescue number 1. I keep messing up how to say that. I wish number 2 were different than number 1, a little bit, more than just sculpting. I wish number 4 were a little bit different than number 5. Otherwise, I'm very pleased with number 3 because it manages to be unique. And this thing actually gets a little bit of articulation here. Nothing in the legs, obviously, because it's massive, especially with all the tiny Zords in it. This thing weighs a ton. But the arms here, they can rotate around 360. And because of how they transform, you can rotate the arms back on that joint here. Oops. And if you're not careful, you can use the thing back here as leverage to pop the arm off. Anyway, one thing I like about this is it's possible to get a decent... let me see if I can get this in frame. It's possible to get a decent come at me bro pose. Really, would you come at this bro? I wouldn't. Anyway, I really like this set. I like how it integrates with the smaller Zords of the Lightspeed Rescue series. I like how it's big and impressive on its own. And it's really just fun to look at. It's not quite one that you just pick up and play with. It's not like the SPD Delta Squad Megazord, which is just pure fun. This one is more about the present, and it is worth every penny, especially because it's not as expensive on eBay as you might think. I mean, when these things are put together in their train modes and they're set side by side, it's actually pretty cheap to ship this guy, which really surprised me. I paid $7 shipping for this, and what's also interesting is the prices on this set. They're not too bad either. You can usually find them for under $100 shipped. And for something that came out over a decade ago, that's this big and this impressive and, quite honestly, this legendary, that is pretty interesting. So I do highly recommend this set. I especially recommend it if you have any of the smaller Zords that fit inside of it, because while not the most fun gimmick, it is a neat gimmick. So yeah, right now I'm running some sweepstakes on Facebook for $50, September 2013. Check the video description down below for more information. I review Power Rangers, Transformers, Macross figures, lots of stuff like that. If any of that stuff sounds interesting, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.